Facebook is woven into our modern pop culture and a signature piece on how we communicate messages in the 21st century. Meta, the parent company of Facebook, reports that there are approximately 8 million active advertisers across all Facebook platforms. Furthermore, it's reported that as of 2024, Facebook championed over 3 billion daily active users as of January of 2024. And during the year that the platform ceremoniously turns 20, its popularity for businesses has never been higher. This has to be welcome news for my friend Kabaale. She's a Meta-certified ad strategist who helps online business coaches grow their impact through purpose-driven ad campaigns. She's got more than 8 years of experience, and she specializes in attracting high-quality leads and delivering measurable results. She's passionate about sharing strategies that help online coaches elevate their presence and boost revenue. And she joined me this week to tell me how online business coaches can use Facebook as a reputable platform to grow your impact in business and see it translated to your bottom line. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. I appreciate that, Carol. And with that as a sentiment, my friend, I'll take a moment to welcome you to the program. And I'm super excited to learn how to help online business coaches optimize their footprint on Facebook, my friend. Great to see you, and thank you for a few minutes today.
Amazing. Yeah. So basically, what I help coaches do, it's usually coaches or service providers, is I help them take their zone of genius and we amplify it using Facebook ads. So what we do is we say, hey guys, you have this product or service. Let's make sure that other people can find you. So that's kind of what I do.
Fabulous. And I'm curious to ask you about the effectiveness of Facebook ads and how to use them effectively. If I asked you to create a roadmap on how to do that, what would be your top three places to start, my friend?
Okay, first thing I would do is I would make sure you have a really good offer, right? So you have to have something that people want to buy. So that is the very first thing you want to do. Then the next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you've sold this offer organically through social media, right? So you've sold it on Facebook, on Instagram, or maybe even WhatsApp. You want to make sure that someone has contacted you or sent you a DM, and that little roadmap from them commenting or them visiting a link, you've mapped that out before. Because, like I mentioned before, ads just amplify what you do. So, the third thing is making sure you can streamline that customer journey. So, what is not working? What can we do better once we have all this traffic coming through?
And with so many people on their phones today and receiving information digitally, how important is it for business owners to really use the mobile apps and mobile ads on Facebook to grab people's attention? What are your thoughts there?
Oh, it's really important because Because you know what? These platforms, they're all governed by an algorithm, right? So we cannot control that algorithm. So what ads allows you to do is it allows you to gain a tiny bit of control, which is really important. Well, not a tiny bit. It lets you control everything. So it lets you control who sees the content, who sees that post, that reel, who receives that message. And it's really important because then you can sell to that person or you can nurture them, right? You can say to them, hey, let me grab their email and let's continue the conversation via email, which is also great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you're a person that believes that we can navigate entrepreneurship while also maintaining a sense of purpose and balance, my friend. So, what insights do you have on that regard, my friend?
I will say it's important to understand that work is work, but you must have also time for just balance and relax. A lot of times when I'm helping my clients with campaigns, they're really stressful. They're having a day like I'm sort of having today, where you just go, 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 and all your energy is like exhausted. So you've got to think, what is going to fill your cup? What can you do to kind of regain that energy and regain that momentum so that you can carry on? For me, I love a good bubble bath. I like a good book. I like to snuggle and look in front of the TV. I like to do self care. For other people, it may look a little bit different, but what stays the same and stays consistent is that you have to pour into your own cup in order to keep moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And, for business owners, as we talk about entrepreneurial burnout, as you first start your business and as it evolves, you always want to stay one step ahead of your competition. So I'm wondering if we can expand on the whole idea of how to avoid entrepreneurial burnout. I know that you said it's important for some self-care and creating hobbies, but I'm curious if there's anything specifically when we look at the concept of entrepreneurial burnout that you suggest that people do, knowing that their business is important, but their mental health is important there. So tell me about how we strike a balance between not wanting to be burnt out as entrepreneurs, but also wanting our business to continue to thrive.
No, I get that 100%. I think, look, self-care is a big part of it, right? But I also think is understanding that asking for help is not a sign of weakness. There are other people who have come before you who you can use as a mentor to teach you what you don't know a lot faster. I'm a big fan of outsourcing things that aren't a good use of my time, right? Maybe I can make small edits on my website. I do have a little bit of, web development skills, but I wouldn't want to go and build my whole entire website. There's so many talented individuals who would do that. So I think understanding what your zone of genius is and asking for help when you need it really can help you avoid that burnout. Because if you're doing everything yourself, you're literally taking it on, and at some point, you're going to snap, you're going to burn out. So it is important to ask for help and outsource things that do not serve you, whether it is financially or just it just drains your energy.
Absolutely. And Carol, I want the audience now to understand a little bit more about your personal story. I know that you had originally followed sort of a traditional path of going to university and getting a steady job in hospitality. But over time, you began to miss a significant moments within your family life, and you wanted to live a more centered lifestyle or a more balanced lifestyle. So I'm wondering if you can take a moment to tell me about your personal journey and how it's evolved, my friend.
Sure. So that was it feels like ages ago now, but honestly, it was one of the biggest decisions that I've ever taken in my life. It all kind of started when my husband proposed to me. And I really like, in the movies when your whole life flashes before you and you see everything how it's going to be. That's sort of how it happened with me. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I cannot live the next 40 years, the next 50 years like this. This is not how I want to be at all. And I knew there had to be more. So I started to make a list and figure out what it is that I truly valued, the things that I was good at. What skills did I have? What do I value? And how could I marry that? And I remember one of the first things I wrote down was be of service. I love being of service. I love helping people. That's probably why I worked within hospitality, but in the corporate side of it, you know? And that led me to be like, okay, well, how can I continue to serve people, to help people? And the next part that I really identified that I liked was marketing. I enjoyed talking to people, connecting their ideas, really showcasing people's ideas. So I was like, okay, now how do I make this a business? Like, how do I do that? And I went to get another certification in social media, but I didn't quite enjoy that because it was very front end. And it was very like, oh, here's a graphic, let's design it, let's make it pretty. Now it has a lot more strategy, but back then it was just like, creating a beautiful grid on Instagram, and I didn't want to do that. What I loved was creating lovely ads and like creating data driven decisions. So I studied to become a certified ads manager, and I began my little agency. And in the beginning, it was tough because I was the first person in my family to ever have a business and no one else is an entrepreneur. So again, like you said, I was burnt out and I was tired because I didn't ask for help. I thought I could do it all. I thought I could figure it all out by myself. Um, but what really helped me then to send to me was my husband. He said, hey, you need to give yourself timelines. How long are you going to give this business a try? How long are you going to try to make this work? And that really like hit me because I was like, that's true. Like, I don't have to keep doing this until it fails or until it succeeds. Like, I could just say, let me try it for a year. And if it doesn't work, I go back to my job, And with that kind of mindset, I was just like, I'm not going back. I'm going to prove him wrong. Like in a year, this is going to work. And every day I was like, how can I move the needle forward? How can I make it a little bit better? And that incremental moving the needle forward has led me 8 years later to still running a very successful agency where I get the honor actually to help all these lovely coaches and impact their lives and their students' lives. So it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Carol, I'm also curious to ask you about how we achieve entrepreneurial freedom. How can we use Facebook ads or our success in business to make our business work for us and achieve more professional freedom? What are your thoughts there?
So with Facebook in particular, the big reason I always advocate for it is because you're betting on yourself, right? You're not depending on an algorithm. You're not depending on somebody else to come and save your company. You're saying, I have this great offer. I'm going to put money behind it and I'm going to amplify this message and it's going to be seen throughout the world. So that in itself is like so huge, right? And the way that can change and give you freedom is that now, because you've amplified your message, because you're speaking to the right people, you have accelerated the process of success because you're talking to your target audience, you're talking to your people, your tribe, the people who actually need your service more than ever. So it can accelerate everything and scaling and hiring and, putting out other offers. So I definitely think it's a tool that people are kind of scared of, but I promise you, if you tackle it one moment at a time, it can make all the difference.
Yeah, and can you tell me for business owners who aren't great at marketing but have a great idea, how can Facebook ads act as sort of an accelerant to get their message out there, my friend?
So I would say, right, have a look at what you've already created. Have a look at what you've created. See what people are liking, sharing, saving. That content will tell you what your audience already likes to see. And then with the Facebook ad, you will create an ad that mimics that style, that verbiage, maybe the graphics that you use. And it will signal to your audience, hey, I have an offer here. Do you want to buy it? It's also really important to be mindful of times, if you are in like, the Black Friday season, or if you're in Christmas or the festive season, you can create tailored offers for that. And again, amplify them to reach the right people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to talk specifically about your online digital ad agency and the process of you betting on yourself. And what do you think it means in business to bet on yourself? What are your thoughts there?
I think it means to, even though it's scary, to do it. Even though you have no idea how, you still get up and do it. Even though you like are fearful and it's exciting some days, you just keep going. The thing about business, I think we tend to overthink it, like most human things that we do. We tend to overthink it so much that we create this bubble of like, oh, it must be so scary. Oh, it must, how can I do this? I'm not too sure. Well, you were never good at walking before you tried to. You were never good at running before you tried it. It's all about being consistent, showing up, doing the work, and you'll get results.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll give you the space now to tell me about your agency, my friend, and how it's grown over time. Tell me about your business, my friend.
Sure. So for me, I have a lovely little business, a little agency, and we're a group of hardcore women. Like we all support each other. It's really fun. We have a copywriter, a web developer. I do ads, and it's a full service agency. So from the ads to the emails to the landing page, we can support you with anything. And what's really neat about it is that we don't just focus on the ad and getting you clicks and getting you views, because those are vanity metrics. At the end of the day, we're all entrepreneurs. We want to make money. We want to see ROI. We want to see conversion. So we look at the deeper things like, are they opening emails? Are they moving down the funnel? Are they saying yes to your smaller offers and products? Because all of these are great indications that this is a wonderful audience and a wonderful lead that we put together for you. So that's kind of what we do. And I'm so happy that I get to work with these fantastic ladies. It really like just makes my day.
Yeah, absolutely. And Carol, I'm going to share just a little bit about myself and why I
Yeah.
enjoy the online sort of marketing space myself. So, Carol, I was born with what's called spastic quadriplegia cerebral palsy. Simply means that I don't have enough oxygen in my legs to walk normally. And Carol, I found out at the age of 9 that I wouldn't be able to walk for the duration of my life because of the severity of my cerebral palsy. So I use social media and digital channels like Facebook to build social capital. And I'm not sure that you knew that October we just passed October, which was National Disability Employment Awareness Month. So tell me,
Mm.
how do you think Facebook and other digital platforms can give folks who have disabilities a voice professionally and socially as well? What are your thoughts there?
Oh my gosh, I definitely think everyone needs a seat at a table. I definitely agree with that. I think things that can happen is to make it more accessible, to showcase it more, to highlight it more. I mean, you just told me about it and I didn't even know about it. So I kind of feel like, oh my word, like, why isn't this being talked about more? They do have the capital and they do have the means to go about and like make a big deal of things, and they should, because it's important and people need to know about it. And once you know better, you do better. So I really think that's something that, all organizations should be doing, especially people like Facebook, because those guys have money.
Absolutely. And, Carol, I'm curious. Before we started recording, I asked you about your thoughts on what happened on Tuesday with the American election, and I know you're living in South Africa, but it's a global effect what happens to all of us in the U.S. And I live in Canada, as you know. So
Mm.
I'm curious to ask you about the role that social media platforms have in policing misinformation, because I
Oh.
think that was a large component on why former President Trump won on Tuesday. So I'm curious to ask you, what responsibility do you think social media platforms have to police misinformation, my friend? What are your thoughts there?
I think definitely it should be a lot more controlled. Even as a person who runs ads and amplifies people's messages, like anything, it can be weaponized for good or for evil. Like, I tend to, walk on the path of light, and I try to work with women and people who have that message that needs to be heard in the world. But unfortunately, like you've mentioned, it can be used for other things, and it can be used to spread things that we as humans, I don't know when this happened. I wish I knew because I'm complicit of it too. We get fed a piece of information and we don't fact check it. We don't like go and look at another thing. We just take it as truth. That 15-second video, that's truth, that's fact because we saw it on the internet. I don't know when that became a thing, but I wish if all of us could take a moment to just remember just because you saw it doesn't mean it's real. So, yeah, that would be my stance on that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Carol, I'm also curious to ask you about how online coaches can use Facebook effectively without getting saturated amongst all of the other people trying to get your attention from a business perspective on Facebook. What are your thoughts there? How can business owners not become saturated if they use Facebook as a platform?
So they can use Facebook and Instagram. I think what's important is to always create content that's very captivating, that gets the audience's attention in the first 3 seconds. Be very clear of who you are talking to and come from a place of service. Often I see like coaches in particular, they want to give one piece of the puzzle and not the full puzzle because they have maybe a mindset of, well, if I give them the full solution, they won't want to be my client. But here's the thing. Most people will not even implement the solution. Most people will just download your thing and it's going to live in the downloads folder and they're never going to take action. But for that small percentage of people who are actually going to take action, you need to show up as the best version of yourself. You need to give so much value that they get a huge rush of endorphin hits and they're like, wow, what else does Carol have? What else can I see from her? How do I work with her?
Yeah, absolutely. And, selfishly, Carol, I'm going to ask you this question. So, outside of hosting this podcast, I also do some motivational speaking, and I'm always looking for ways to generate more leads. And I'm curious to ask you about automating the process of lead generation, and how can Facebook ads help us do that?
So the easiest funnel that I can think of is think of what you can give of value, right? To capture, let's say, an email. So think about what you have. Have you created a checklist? Do you have a quiz? Do you have an audiobook? Do you have a webinar? What can you provide? What kind of training or something can you provide that someone would like to receive from you? Even motivational speaking, perhaps you have like a clip or you have like a video that they can go to and they'd like to have that in exchange for something, right? So what you could do is like, hey, I will send you this 3 minute audio book that has motivational things to help you not be burnt out today. I'm making it up as I go along, by the way. So I'm on the spot.
You're doing a
But
great
you could
job.
okay, great. So once you've created that, then you can say, okay, now you give me your email and I will send you this thing, right? So that's where the ad would come in. The ad would promote this kind of audiobook or whatever you've put together that someone would want to download. And from there, here's the part that people forget. You've got to nurture people. You've got to send emails. You've got to remind them. You've got to stay top of mind, because here's the truth. Not many people buy when you want them to buy. People buy when they are ready to buy, when they feel they have this problem and they want to hire you, for example, as the motivational speaker. They're like, oh, I have that summit. Oh, I saw that thing from Kevin. Oh, let me reach out to him. And creating a path of least resistance is like a no-brainer. You've got to make sure that you walk that path of like the lead going through it and being like, how easy is it for them to book a call with you? How easy for them is it to download your thing, to buy an offer? Because maybe people are watching your things and looking at your products and wanting to buy, but the path to get it is so covered in like obstacles that they're like, no, 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 I'm not going to do this. And they walk away and you've missed the sale.
Yeah, and Carol, how do you think, how do you value the importance, I guess, of building trust with your audience through your social media channels? How important do you think that is?
It's so important because people buy from people. They don't buy from the colors or fonts or whatever it is you've decided is your brand. They buy from what they believe in. And generally, there's something in you that resonates in them, and they feel like you can help them solve whatever problem they have. And they've chosen you as the human to guide them. So, yeah, people buy from people. It's so important to create a community because that's who's going to support you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Carol, you mentioned that you work with a group of women, so I'm curious to get your thoughts on the whole concept of women empowerment and how women are really changing the landscape in business. What are your thoughts there?
Oh my gosh, I love it. I mean, like, I've only been at this for 8 years, so I feel like I'm just such a small part of it. But so many people have come before me to make this moment for myself possible, and I will be eternally grateful. I do think like there's always room for more equality. There's always room where we have to make ourselves a little bit bigger because other people want to shine a little bit brighter than us. They want to dim our flame. But it's okay. We have a seat at the table, so let's use it wisely, and let's use it to make other people come to the table and join. And now it's a party. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And Carol, how do you view the whole concept of advancing in life, whether it be through partnerships personally or professionally? So I'm curious, what's your core view when it comes to advancing in life? What are your thoughts there?
On advancing in general, I think it's necessary. You can't stay if you stay in the same place, you're never going to move forward. And how dull of a life would that be? I mean, you're just here and you think this is it. If this is it, like, I don't know. I don't know about you, but I don't like that. I am of the mindset of like, the more we move forward, the more we get to learn. I often think like so many different carols created this version of Carol. I know that sounds rather spiritual. But I do. I think you have to learn, you have to grow, and that's what makes us human. That's what makes us unique. So advancement is so, so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And Carl, I know you live in South Africa, and I know that I live in Canada, so we're having an international conversation. So I'm curious, when you look at the world, I'm always interested to ask business people like yourself, because I started this podcast nearly 4 years ago now, and I started it because I said there has to be more that brings us together than tearing us apart, and I wanted to create more bridges of unity through conversation. So, how do you think businesses and entrepreneurs can contribute to what I call the conversation of progress and build more bridges of unity?
Well, I think definitely businesses can do that. I mean, entrepreneurship, especially when you start off in the beginning, it can be quite lonely because it's usually you by yourself and your laptop. But I do think that when you travel this road, you get the honor of meeting talented people that maybe become your team members, that maybe you form partnership with, that maybe are your clients. So I think there always will be a sense of connection in entrepreneurship. And it is vital that we step out because our businesses wouldn't work if it was just us. That would be kind of silly, hey? If it was just
Uh,
us.
yeah, absolutely. And to that point, just to follow up on that, what do you think is the key to building effective relationships online with the people that you're intending to serve?
I think it's really important. I think, this word authentic gets thrown around a lot. But I do think the conversation has to be authentic. It has to be coming from a place of purpose and service. And if you can't do something, then say it. If you can't help someone truly, then say it. If you have too much on and you can't take another client, then by all means, please say it because it would be a disservice to have someone come in and be like, yes, 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 and then they cannot deliver. So, yeah.
Yeah, and to that point, do you think it's important for entrepreneurs to really have a personal purpose behind the business they want to start?
Yes, because it's your why. It's what drives you. For me, it's the idea that I get to have choice. I get to choose if I want to do this or that. It's the idea that like if I decide to bring a tiny human into this life, that I get to be a part of its life more or less. So it gives you that freedom of choice, and that's what drives me. So once you have the thing that drives you, no matter whether you're having the best day or the worst day, it's the thing that keeps you centered and keeps you going, at least for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Carol, my final question for you today has to do with legacy, and I want you to imagine uh, you, after 10 years, you're ready to sort of renew your wedding vows and
Hmm.
renew your commitment to your marriage and to your business, my friend. What sort of legacy do you want to leave both in your marriage and in your business, my friend? I'm curious to get your answer.
Oh, I would say, firstly, I love that question. That's a great one. I think in my marriage, I want to be someone who is always proud to look at themselves in the mirror because of the choices I made, whether they were tough choices or they were easy choices. I want to be constantly like able to look at myself with the decisions I made in my marriage. And I also want to be, I want to keep being supportive and I want to keep being the person who is there for my husband, but also there for myself. In my business, I would say the big thing I would want is 10 years from now for me to be at a point where I am kind of removed from my business and I'm more there at a consultation, CEO level, and not so much in the day to day running of things. I do think I will still have a big part of it, but I don't see myself being so in the weeds as I am today. That's where I hope my legacy would be.
Yeah, absolutely. And my friend, if people want to get connected with you personally or through your business, what's the best way they can do that?
Sure. So they can visit my website. It's Carol Kabaale. It's just my name. Probably going to be in the show notes. And while you're there, I have this lovely quiz. It's all about Facebook ads, and it can tell you your Facebook ads readiness score. So it will tell you if you should be running ads or if you shouldn't. So before you go and take your money and throw spaghetti at the wall and see if it sticks, I want you to take my quiz and it will tell you if you're ready to run ads.
Absolutely. Well, Carol, I know it's the end of the day for you, and I know you've had a busy day, but I'm grateful of the fact that you found some time in your busy schedule to engage in conversation with me about optimizing our presence on Facebook through ads, my friend. You're really doing great work in the space, and I want to Thank you for your efforts and for joining me to engage in conversation. It's most appreciated.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed myself, Kevin.